Okay. Well, Kathy, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you taking the time to do this little video interview. And I just wanted to ask you, what are your what are your thoughts on this new law which allows petitions like this to be brought by citizens to try to consolidate villages and towns? Um, do you think it's a good thing overall, a bad thing, or something that needs further clarification? What are your just raw thoughts on it?
I think with the new law, it probably needed a little more clarification for the citizens of the town to understand what they were actually signing and potentially what they would be voting for, so they could understand the whole procedure and the process and know that even though a yes vote doesn't necessarily mean a dissolution, that a yes vote means you have the right to take it to the next level and investigate and determine if it does make sense, and then to know that they would have an additional option to change the plan if it did not seem like it was going to make sense once further information was given.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I noticed in that meeting was that the deputy attorney general said that a yes vote would move the process to the next level, which would be uh, binding the village board to the town board to discuss and work out a plan for dissolving and terminating the village, figuring out how services, police, fire, and all those things would be delivered, and trash collection and that stuff. And there would have to be public hearings, and if the citizens, once the plan was developed, and it would have to happen in 211 days, if the citizens said, you know what, we don't like this plan, they could bring another petition within 45 days, and it would require 25% of the registered voters in the village. And then if everyone voted no at that point, that would stop the process and it would be over.
Correct. And that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Okay.
But I think that it wasn't clear to people really what they were signing and how the whole thing was going to work. And I think it was very helpful to have the Attorney General here earlier in the week to go over that and explain that process to the people, so things could become a little bit clearer, so they could understand what they're voting for on the 25th of August.
Okay. So one of the things that was mentioned in that meeting, and something that seems odd to me about this whole deal, is that the citizens of the town of Bustide don't get a vote in whether they want to even consider uh, merging with the village of Lakewood. What do you think about that?
We have gotten a lot of feedback about that from the citizens of the town outside of the village, and it's very difficult for people to understand that a decision like this can be made that can impact us, with potentially more taxes, and they don't have any say about it. But I think what has to have been the driving factor in the law is that, because of the town law and the village being part of the town, if the village chose to dissolve, whether because of an outside group or because of, maybe they had some bankruptcy issues, the town always has to be ready to absorb them. So I think that was the logic behind the law. But as far as in fairness to the citizens, it doesn't seem like that's the best way.
Yeah. One of the things somebody said was that there are more registered voters in Bustide than in the village. So, assuming that there was a yes vote and the plan was voted, there was a yes vote on the final plan that was developed by the village board and the town board. It, could it be possible or conceivable that the people who live in the town of Bustide would say, this was all voted in, and we aren't happy with this, and what would be their recourse to say we want to make sure that things are proportional in expenditures. The village of Lakewood is less than 50% of of this new entity, and we want to make sure that we're spending less than 50% or whatever the exact proportion is on services. Is there any kind of um, process for something like that to happen, or how are the budgets developed, and what rates are the amounts allocated? Is how does that process
The way
happen?
the way the budget's done in the town of Busti is that because there's a village within a town, you have two different parts to the budget. You have a part town, which only can be charged to the people outside the village, and then you have a whole town portion. And within those portions, there are certain things that can be charged either to all the residents or to just the portion of the residents outside of the village. And, you know, then those numbers are determined, and then you look at the whole assessments for those areas and any revenues that are raised against those areas. And then that gives you your final levy to which portion goes to which of the areas based on whole town and part town. And based on the assessments within those, that sets up the rates for the taxes. So it's based on, you know, any of the numbers for all the different things that happen, but broken apart by those two areas.
Okay, so then the budgets could be, in fact, two separate, they are, it sounds like two separate budgets, one for the village and one for the town.
Well, it's whole town, so whole town means everybody in the whole entire town, and part town means everybody outside the village. So we do not have a part of our budget that's just village. The only thing that's just village is the village budget. And then we have a budget that's just town outside the village, and then the entire town, including the village. Those are our two different areas.
Okay.
And then special district portions that are just areas outside of the village.
One of the things somebody, well, they mentioned tax assessments a lot, and I don't know how that goes. And somebody said that, was it Joe Trochet who said they don't control assessments?
The assessor's office takes care of all the assessing, and the assessing is a town function.
Okay, so that won't change.
No, assessing
regardless.
won't change, correct,
Yeah.
that will not change. And right now, the assessments for the town of Busti outside the village are about 248 million, and then within the village, it's about 230 million. So about 52% of the assessment is outside the village right now in the town.
Now, does the village get tax revenue from the mall and from Walmart?
Sales tax revenue is part of any of the municipalities. So based on what things are in your municipality.
So, but Walmart's taxes go to the village of Lakewood?
Correct.
So then, if everything passed, in theory, services could remain the same as they are as the people in the village of Lakewood know them now. If it were, the residents have to support their own services. Excuse me, police, fire, and whatever else, garbage pickup, all of those things, the residents of the village of Lakewood could continue to support those things at the same level that they do now, and then the town's functions would continue the way they do now.
Right, but the only thing is you'd have to create districts to support those things, because you cannot, for example, say garbage, if you had garbage pickup within the village boundaries, you cannot charge everybody in the town for something that everybody can't benefit from. So they could still maintain that, but then there would be a charge based on the total district charge across either the housing units if you chose to do it that way, like you might with garbage pickup, or by the total assessment if you did it that way, which is probably how you do it in like a lighting district.
Gotcha.
So they could still receive the services, but then they would have special district charges on their tax bills, just like Busti does with the water districts, the lighting districts, drainage districts, and sewer districts that we have now.
Okay. Is there anything else that you might want to add that might be of value to?
No, I think throughout this procedure, I just think that it's very important that the residents of the village of Lakewood, you know, are educated and informed about what it is they're voting for, and understand what impact it will have on them, so that they can try to make an informed decision when they vote on August 25th. And as far as on the town of Busti side, I don't have a side one way or the other. I do not get to vote in it. But I guess I'm trying to be open-minded that if we do end up in the position where the dissolution happens and we have to have, the town-wide, take care of everything, for the budgets and everything else, that I want to be open-minded and positive about it, and so we can make it work and, try to make it work the best that we can.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.